Alright folks, have you ever looked at your stash of canned goods and thought, could the government actually take this from me? No? Well, you might after today, because today we're diving into 9 canned foods that Uncle Sam might actually come after in a crisis, and why. Number 1, canned butter. Let's kick it off with canned butter. Yes, it exists, and it's not just a fever dream from your keto uncle.
That's really good.
In a crisis, butter is gold. Butter is a fat source and an essential for cooking, baking, and bribing your neighbor for that last can of peaches. It's also on strategic food lists. That means if martial law or a wartime rationing system is enacted, your creamy gold might become nationalized dairy property. So hide it like your grandma's secret lasagna recipe. Number 2, canned bread. Yes, canned bread. It's a real thing. And somehow it tastes like a mix between banana bread and a Yankee Candle. But hey, it is shelf stable. In a food shortage, ready-to-eat carbs are a top priority. A canned bread, specifically Boston brown bread, has a history rooted in New England's colonial past and the challenges of early baking practices. Lacking ovens, early settlers in Massachusetts turned to steaming bread doughs in cans and often repurposed coffee cans and other molds. This method, combined with ingredients like rye and cornmeal, molasses, and baking soda, resulted in a dense, moist, and sweet bread. While home canned bread was a common practice, B&M or Burnham and Morrow is credited with popularizing the commercially canned version, starting in the 1920s. Bread is a comfort food, survival food, and possibly a government-seizable emergency provisioning item under FEMA guidelines. So if you see a black van pull up and sniff the air like, someone's got brown bread, then run. Number 3, canned bacon. Do I even have to explain this one? It's canned and it's bacon. It is the holy grail of prepper protein. Bacon is salty, fatty, delicious, and morale boosting. So it's technically medicinal. Now, while not as widely known as other canned goods, it has been used in various historical events, including polar expeditions and wartime rations. During a national emergency, the Defense Production Act allows seizure or prioritization of strategic food sources, especially high-protein, shelf-stable ones. And guess what? Your canned bacon could be classified as such. Don't make it easy. Camouflage it as emergency plumbing supplies. Number 4, canned cheese. Ah yes, the radioactive glow of canned cheese. And I'm not talking about squeezed cheese whiz like from Philadelphia, that's completely different. This is America's legacy. In World War II, cheese was one of the first things to be rationed. In modern emergencies, it's not just about protein. It's about calories and calcium. Plus, if you've ever had government-issued cheese, you know it doubles as edible insulation. Canned cheese initially was developed for military rations and has a history rooted in the need for a shelf-stable product and convenient cheese, particularly during World War I. Processed cheese, the base for most canned cheese, was actually first developed in Switzerland, but the American company Kraft secured the first US patent for a method storing cheese in cans. This innovation allowed for a longer shelf life and easier transport, making it ideal for soldiers. So yes, if the stuff hits the fan, your cheddar might get cheddared by the state. Number 5, canned whole chicken. This thing looks like it came out of a horror movie and smells like ambition. But folks, a whole canned chicken is the jackpot for any emergency food stockpile. It's meat, broth, and gelatinous mystery, the trifecta. If the government starts pulling from citizen stockpiles, they're looking for big wins, and a canned chicken is like hitting the food lottery. Now, the concept of canning food, including chicken, emerged during the Napoleonic Wars as a way to feed soldiers. While initially using glass jars, they were quickly replaced by more durable tin cans. Now, brands like Sweet Sue later popularized canned whole chicken, offering a shelf-stable, ready-to-eat option, though it's less common today. Don't flash this one around. If you post it online, it's considered a flex and a red flag. Number 6, canned water. I know, you're asking, wait, canned water? Really? Yeah. In fact, FEMA has its own stockpile of canned emergency water, which means they already know how valuable it is. In a national emergency or a natural disaster, potable water becomes priority numero uno. If water supplies are compromised, your canned water can be requisitioned for community relief efforts. That's right, H2O in a tin can equals liquid liberty. Canned water, though seemingly modern, has its roots in both historical food preservation and emergency preparedness. Initially, canning was a military necessity developed to preserve food for long campaigns, with Nicholas Appert winning a prize for his method in 1809. Later on, during the Cold War, about 150 years later, 200 years later, canned water became a staple in fallout shelters as part of emergency preparedness. More recently, canned water has gained popularity as a sustainable alternative to plastic bottled water, with companies like Liquid Death marketing it as a beverage of choice. Now guard it with your life, or hide it behind the cans of, pickled pig feet or something. No one checks for those. Number 7, canned oily fish, like this one I have right here. Tuna, the most humble hero of the pantry. These little guys are loaded with omega-3s, protein, and survival-grade sass. Oily fish are actually critical nutritional resources in crisis scenarios. That's why the US military includes them in MREs. If you've got stacks of these, you might be seen as hoarding strategic protein, which sounds like a crime and a CrossFit workout. But during the first years of the Napoleonic Wars, the French government offered a 12,000 franc prize to anyone who could devise a cheap and effective method of preserving large amounts of food. Appert, like we've talked about before, submitted his invention and won that prize in January of 1810. Canning was used up throughout the 1830s in Scotland to keep fish fresh until it could be marketed in ways like this. By the 1840s, salmon was being canned in North America in Maine and New Brunswick. American commercial salmon canneries had their origins in California and in the northwest of US, particularly on the Columbia River. Now, with this food, share with caution or just label them as cat food, spicy edition. Number 8, canned eggs. Canned eggs because sometimes powdered eggs just aren't weird enough. These bad boys are mostly found in prepper circles and hardcore survival kits. Pickled eggs are typically hard-boiled eggs that are cured in vinegar or brine. As with many foods, this was originally a way to preserve the food so it could be eaten months later. Now, pickled eggs have become a favorite among many as a snack or hors d'oeuvres popular in pubs, bars, and taverns, and around the world in places where beer is served. After the eggs are hard-boiled, the shell is removed and they are submerged in a solution of vinegar, salt, spices, and other seasonings. Eggs are a high-priority protein and vitamin source, especially for children and the elderly. Now, in a rationing scenario, eggs are one of the first controlled items. So if you've got canned eggs, congratulations! You're sitting on the Fort Knox of breakfast. Lock it up. Number 9, canned coffee. Now, while coffee is not food, it's a survival fuel. During World War II, coffee was one of the most tightly rationed items. Today, same story. Coffee helps soldiers stay alert, keep morale up, and prevent national grumpiness levels from rising to DEFCON 5. If, stuff ever hit the fan, the government might not officially seize your coffee, but your neighbors will, fast. So if you've got canned coffee, consider storing it next to your ammo and prayer candles. So in the end, can the government actually seize your food? Well, in theory, yes. Under executive orders like 13603 and the Defense Production Act, during a declared emergency, the government can redirect or requisition goods, including food. But in practice, they're going after bulk supplies, warehouses, factories, and yes, possibly big home stockpiles. But don't panic. Just prep smart, rotate your stock, and don't broadcast your stash. And maybe don't film a YouTube video about bragging about your underground vault of canned lasagna. Oh, wait. If you enjoyed this mix of truth, laughs, and a mild fear of bureaucracy, then hit that like button before the government seizes it. Subscribe for more prepping, homesteading, and survival wisdom, served with a side of sarcasm. And tell us in the comments, what's the weirdest canned food that you've got hidden away? Bonus points if it makes you really question reality.